Okay, good afternoon. We have with us today Mark Faerber, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, and Mark has graciously accepted to be interviewed today on All About Your Profession and French-American TV because I just found out he has a little bit of French background in his family, correct?
Oh, yes, about half.
Half of your family. Okay, that's wonderful. It's funny that you didn't get, I guess, the need to learn French. Or you tried?
I tried. I wasn't successful. I tried French, I tried Spanish, I tried German. Foreign languages didn't come to me easily.
Oh, okay. So what came to you more easily?
English.
Oh, easily because you were born
Born
with it.
here and raised here, well, actually back in New England.
No, I'm talking about learning. Did you learn more easily? You say you didn't learn easily languages. What did you learn better?
Oh, better? Math.
Math. You liked math?
Yeah, I'm a CPA by profession.
Oh, okay. Okay, that explains it.
Yeah.
So when you were when you took these classes to be a CPA, it didn't seem too hard.
No, it wasn't overly difficult. I was very focused, though, very interested.
Really?
In it. Yeah.
But the laws have changed over the years, right?
It continually changes, yeah.
Oh, do CPA take continuing education too?
You have to, well, if you want to keep, in the state of California, if you want to keep your license active, you have to
it's like a broker license?
Excuse me?
It's like a broker license.
Yeah, kind of like a lawyer's license, any kind of regulated profession, right.
Okay, no, because I took Series 7 and I had to take continuing education.
Right.
And life insurance, you have taken continuing education.
Right.
So you do that every 2 years too?
No, you have to get 40 hours a year.
A year?
A year.
That's too much. Is that an in-class thing?
You can do it a number of different ways. You can attend conferences, you can do self-study work, or you can do...
But there's a test.
Classes. Yes, there's typically a test.
A little to see if you learned something.
Right. And, I mean, you can go to like a sponsored meeting.
Yeah.
Listen it and basically,
8 hours.
But you don't necessarily have to take a test. You just have to have been in attendance for the whole presentation.
8 hours, yeah.
Or however many hours it is, and you can break down the CPEs into 1 hour units.
Okay. But when they mean 40 hours, it's not a whole week, like 8 times 5.
No, it's not a continuous thing. It's you can, however you can get the hours accumulated into it.
Over the years.
You just need to accumulate 40.
So you go to a convention and something?
Go to conventions, or you do self-study work, or...
And that counts?
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. And so right away, you studied that after high school, or you tried different other professions before? No,
I went, when I went to college, I was focused on business, and it was that was back in '73, and everything else seemed too vague to me.
Really?
Well, business management, how do you define that? What is that? Accounting was very specific.
Because you were too young to grasp it.
To grasp it, correct. And accounting was very specific, and I knew I could do math, and I didn't have to write any papers. So I just went...
Oh, you didn't like the literature part of studying?
Right, no, not too much.
Okay, so that you could understand.
Correct.
Oh, got it. So you did accounting and it appealed to you?
Yes. I had a job right after, even before I graduated.
Wow.
What
were you?
I'm sorry?
When you graduated, what did you get a job as?
As an auditor with an international accounting firm at the time. At the time, they were called Peat Marwick Mitchell. Today, they're called KPMG.
KPMG, they're huge.
Yeah, international, yeah.
So you work for them?
Yeah, for about 2 years, a little over 2 years.
Wow, that must be looking good on your resume for a first job.
Oh, yeah.
Not everybody get in there, right?
Having your CPA and having worked for one of the big, now the big four firms
was impressive.
Yes, it does. It kind of just set you apart from the others, so to speak.
So you must have been a very good student if they took you.
I did pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, so they say, oh, this guy really got the hand of it, let's handle it, and they will give him a job, right?
Yes, there were a few of us from the school. The school had a good reputation for turning out accountants that the accounting firms liked to hire. There was already attention on the school to begin with. Although I didn't know that or realize that at the time I was started into pursuing a degree in accounting. But
when you got your first job, you got a degree as a BA?
As a BS.
Oh, you had a BS.
Yeah.
And then you pursued further.
Well, then I sat for the CPA exam. I got my CPA, and then I left public accounting. I moved to California, and I went to work in industry. I went to work for a firm in the San Joaquin Valley, Foster Farms, poultry producer. I'm sure you've heard of them.
Yes.
But so I worked for them for a while, and while I was there, I then started to pursue a master's degree in taxation. And
so that was a step up.
Yeah, that was it was just kind of broadened my professional knowledge.
So it gives you more weight on your resume.
Well, it gave me more weight on my resume. More importantly, the company that I was working for was privately held, and all of their decisions were tax driven, tax motivated.
Oh,
so it was easier to contribute professionally at the company by understanding the taxes better.
And a master's 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah, I did it through night courses and summer courses and stuff.
Yeah, and you got your master.
Well, I actually didn't finish it. I only had a couple of more credits because I had left that company, then moved to the Silicon Valley, and went to work for a company called Applied Materials.
Oh, that's a big company too.
Yeah, it is.
You always got the big corporations.
Yeah, I got a lot of that carries a lot of weight, having that large industry experience for what I do today.
Yeah.
Because I understand the bigger picture and how things will evolve. But
at what point did you decide to become a CPA?
Oh, right away, right in college.
The CPA is more than the BS. It's something else too.
Correct.
So you did your BS, your master, and then a CPA.
Well, I did the BS, did the CPA, and then I pursued the master's degree.
Okay, so the BS kind of was enough to prepare you for CPA?
Yeah, each state has their own requirements because the CPA exam is supervised by each state. They'll have their board of accountancy or body that will dictate what qualifies to even be able to sit for the exam, and then what qualifies as passing the exam.
Okay, so you take your 4-year Bachelor of Science, and then they look at what you took in classes, and they decide if you can take the CPA exam, or you have to take extra classes.
Correct. You either meet the requirements or you haven't met the requirements.
And then you have to take extra classes if they say no,
to just meet
not enough.
You're right. Correct.
Okay, so it was a Bachelor of Science with accounting major. And with that, they say, yes, you can take the CPA exam.
Correct. That's how I did it. It can be done other ways.
It could be
people could get their master's degree in accounting and then go sit for the CPA exam. And you don't have
in accounting. Okay, so if they get a master's degree in accounting, then obviously they can take the CPA exam.
They can take the CPA exam, but there's most states have another requirement in terms of experience. So you also have to have worked in the profession for some period of time.
Before you take the exam?
No, before you'll get issued your CPA.
Oh.
So
How is it in San Francisco? Do you have to sit in a job before you get your license?
For California, yes, I think you have to have a two-year experience requirement.
Which you did with KPMG.
Yeah, I had already had that. I actually got my CPA issued out of the state of Rhode Island and got it transferred,
here.
reciprocation to California.
You had to take the exam again?
No, they accepted all of the requirements that Rhode Island had.
They say okay.
So then they just said okay, and they
because some
they
states
issued
you
me
have to
the.
take it again for some licenses.
That's true. Yeah, that's
for
true.
life insurance and all that.
Yeah,
You have to take
I mean
it.
every state is slightly different from each other.
All right, so let me recap here. So you do your Bachelor of Science,
Mm-hmm.
then you have to pass some kind of
Standardized tests,
evaluation,
right?
and then they say, okay, take the test, and then you take the test, and then you work 2 years, and then you get the paper saying you're a CPA.
Correct. As long as you've passed all the parts of the test.
Okay. So
Yes.
the test, you took it right away after the 4 years.
I took it right away, yeah, right after I graduated.
So everything was fresh in your mind then, I would say. Because when people start working, they forget 90% of what they learned in school.
Well, yeah, but if you're continuing to work in public accounting, you tend to stay a little more current than if you've gone into industry or elsewhere, just because I mean, that's your expertise that you're selling.
Oh, that's what you practice every day.
Right.
And it's mathematical. It's not just the
Well,
philosophy.
yeah, there's more. It's not black and white like that.
Right.
It's very much gray, and there's a lot of things you have to go through and make judgments and decisions on as to what the appropriate accounting treatment might be for something.
Okay.
So it's become very
So when you started your
complicated.
first job,
hmm
did you find out it was totally different than what you learned? Or it was right away something you could do? Or they had to train you on the job?
Well, they always. I mean, you've got the 40-hour CPE, so you're always training, so to speak,
Oh, okay.
for the whole life of your profession.
Okay.
But
No, what I'm
no, it
saying
was
is that
applicable. No, it applied.
right away.
The education applied right away. Yes,
Okay.
and the education is structured. It gave you the requirements
To do the job.
and to be able to sit for the CPA license.
Okay, and also to perform the job?
Correct. Yes.
They didn't have to put you through some hard training.
Well, they put you through their training in terms of how they do things,
Okay.
and
But you were prepared for it since you passed.
correct. So
So it was not like they would throw.
it was not insurmountable. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but it was not totally out of what you learned.
Out of context, no.
No,
It
not
was
at all.
very much. Everything was always in context.
Because they all at KPMG, which is the name now, they all had to go through what you did.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So they pretty much had to themselves apply what they learned
Correct.
because it's state requirement.
Correct.
Okay. So it's only like when you say company procedures, is that you mean the way they do things by the hour or the way they treat clients? What is their added learning, teaching? I mean,
Well, how to
training.
in the case of an audit,
Yeah.
you go through and you do various in a client. You do various testing of transactions. You do various confirmations of certain balances or documentation, and so then you've got to as the auditor, you need to retain that as your working papers. That substantiates the work that you actually did. So when you pick up a set of financial statements, it's pretty much understood.
Yeah.
If there's an auditor that signed off on them, it's pretty much understood in the profession as to what kind of work had to go in to.
Who sits with the auditor, you or your boss?
I'm sorry?
When you started working
Uh-huh.
and you did all the work
Uh-huh.
for a client
Uh-huh.
and they are audited,
Uh-huh.
who sits with the auditor in case they audited?
Well, if I'm the auditor, I typically will interact with depending upon the size and structure of the company, I will interact with the people in finance and accounting, and
In
it
the
may be a general accounting manager, yes, in the company. Maybe a general accounting manager, it may be a controller, assistant controller, it may be the CFO.
Okay, so you were an auditor.
I was an auditor for about 4 years.
Okay, so this is where we are we are mixing the word auditor. What I was thinking is if you have a tax audit.
Oh, an IRS audit.
They
Yeah,
looked at
yes. You would, depending upon the nature of the issue, yes, your CPA would sit with you with the auditor, with the Internal Revenue Service auditor.
Okay, so you are the one who handled the company who would sit with
You
them.
can, but depending upon the issue, they may have the client may need a tax lawyer. Because the issues are more contentious and bigger.
But if it gets to the level of a tax lawyer, then the lawyer deals with the auditor.
Deals with the IRS directly, correct?
Right, because then at this point, hands off, right? I mean, you did your job.
Well, yes, but then but in that process, though, I mean, it's not one takes over and just keeps going. There's a
You
lot of
work
mutual
together
together and supporting
with the lawyer.
with the lawyer, correct. Like the IRS may demand to see certain documentation, and
And
the
you work-
CPA and the client will pull that documentation together and present it to the lawyer, and then the lawyer will
Well,
bless it and hand it to the IRS and
wow.
so on.
So not only
So it's an involved process.
So you meet with different people when you're involved with the client. It could
Oh,
be
absolutely.
You can meet with the auditor. You can meet with the lawyer. You can meet with your boss. I mean,
Lawyers, bankers,
and the bankers.
and investment bankers, and commercial bankers, and
That's a lot of learning.
a
mean-
lot of understanding, a lot
Oh,
of
yeah. You understand investment banking?
a little bit, pretty much. It's a good old boy network.
Yeah. I mean, I see so many people going into investment banking. I was wondering why. Is that because it's better than being a CPA? I don't know. But it's a very popular profession now.
Oh yeah,
better
well
than-
within investment banking, there's a chartered financial analyst, CFA.
Yeah,
That's very highly regarded and very.
someone who really understands.
They understand the business, the industry, and the financials.
Of the person or the company.
Of the company or the client, or before they advise a client to invest in, they'll want to look through and understand all of the aspects
All
of
the
that.
risk and the.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so you didn't get that part. I mean, that's
No.
not your job, but you understand what they do.
Oh yes, right, because we prepare the financial statements, and that's the basis of a lot of what they do off of it.
And they look
And
at
they
them.
need to understand the financial statements, so there's a lot of interaction.
Oh, you work with them too.
Right.
Okay, so if you looked at flashback a little bit of your career, would you have liked to be an investment banker?
Yeah, certain aspects of it, I would have probably pursued the CFA.
Yeah. Is it a very hard test? Or?
It's a very hard test. I
Okay.
think they only have like a 50% success rate.
Yeah,
passage.
you got to be very bright. I heard. Okay.
Yeah, it's 4 or 5
Make
levels that have to, that you take, and each one
it.
has
Once they make it, they're really very well considered.
Oh,
and
yes,
respected
absolutely.
people,
Absolutely.
Because not too many people pass.
Right, absolutely, yeah. They do a lot of valuation work,
Oh, okay.
which
So,
is
so when you worked as a CPA, did you like to deal with smaller company or you liked the larger companies? Or it didn't make a difference in your job?
no, it didn't so much make a difference in my job. Being an auditor gets boring very quickly.
Really?
So you get because
You
just
look at something that somebody else has done.
done. You don't have that sense of contributing anything.
Really?
And
just
but then
make
if you're a
sure
tax person, you have the sense of, oh, I saved this person
Some money.
by treating it this way versus that way. You're more of a client advocate than a client overseer.
Okay. So that's why you left the auditor thing and you went to taxation?
I got more involved in taxes. Yes, that's why. Exactly, to just feel more involved in the business, and then I went into industry.
Okay.
And
when you went into taxation, were you able to advise a client? Or
Sure.
You were? Okay.
Oh yeah.
So at this level, it's like almost a little level up if you can give advice, be a consultant, right?
Sure, absolutely.
It's a level up. I mean, you really understand him or his business, right?
Right.
And at that point, you say, "Oh my God, you should do this and that, and you'll save taxes."
Right.
And that is rewarding to you to do that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, anytime you can advise a client where they can leverage certain opportunities.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, if they become more successful, you become more successful.
That's great. Then they want to come back to you.
Exactly, exactly. Or they'll want to tell other people about you.
Oh, and they give you a
And
bonus.
so you get the
because you
referrals
saved them money.
and
Oh, good.
right.
Yeah, and the referrals would go to the company then, and to you.
Yes, yes.
And the company said this person recommended you within our company,
Correct. Right.
so you get the job.
Well, you're part of a firm, and then the firm is
Knows who
knows.
referred you.
Right, right.
Okay.
And they're always trying to get new clients to build their practice.
Of course, yeah. So you, by being good, you contribute to their business development.
Right, you contribute to the reputation of the firm,
That too.
and the reputation gains more clients. The stronger the reputation.
Typically, did you work more during tax season?
When I was in public accounting, yes, definitely worked more during tax season.
Okay, so those are long hours, and then
right.
you guys take a
And-
week off or something to rest.
Or a month, or
Yeah, because it's very strenuous.
oh yeah, you're working 12, 14-hour days,
To
7
get
days a week.
To get all the files done.
To get everybody's. A lot of the effort goes into just chasing the paperwork down.
Ah, you gotta call
Get
them,
get
say, I
the
have
clients,
this
and
paper
then
missing.
or they give you find some piece of paper in there that you didn't know anything about, and all of a
You
sudden
gotta call them.
you got to call them and find out what's this transaction. Did you get this? And oh, now you owe taxes on this, or you don't. Vice versa. Whatever
there's a lot
whatever.
of
The,
interaction
there's a lot
with
of
the client.
digging, a lot of
Okay.
reviewing, and
Okay, so part of your job has also some communication skills involved with the clients and with how to get the job done properly.
correct.
Yeah, so
Correct.
that requires some communication skills.
Right.
You don't want to turn off the client and say, you schmuck, you
But
gave me the wrong paper.
that-
You want to
that-
do it nicely.
Right. But that's doing taxes, and you ask about in terms of busy time in industry,
Yeah.
like the Foster Farms or the Applied Materials scenario. The difficult time is centered around their external reporting, meaning each quarter, if you're a publicly traded company, you have to file reports with the Securities Exchange Commission.
Okay.
All right, so, and those
For
reports
the report for the investors?
for the investors, correct.
Okay.
Basically talking about and telling what the company has done, where are they, and where we think the company's going.
Okay.
And so, and that gets a lot of scrutiny. And then at the end of at the fourth quarter of their fiscal year, you have to do a full-blown annual report to the SEC. It's referred to as it's referred to as a Form 10K.
Okay.
The others on the quarterly basis are referred to as Form
publicly
10Q.
traded companies?
For publicly traded companies, correct.
Okay, so those are big. I mean,
It's a lot of work.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
those
and
are a
then
lot
they
of work.
send the report to the investors.
Then they send the report to the SEC,
SEC then?
and that's automatically available
Public.
to everybody. Yeah.
Okay. So that you cannot make mistakes there. I mean, because the stock will go up or down,
Down, oh,
depending
yeah.
on what you do, right?
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
a huge responsibility.
That's right. That's why they say the reporting season, and you'll see on the news, IBM's going to release their earnings next week.
Everybody waits for
Right.
the earnings.
Right.
And then, so depending on how well you did your job, the stockholder will make money.
Well, in reality, it's that it's not so much how it's making sure that you reported everything accurately. The company could have had a lousy business plan, but the financial reports are still valid. I mean, they're not. That doesn't make, because the business is lousy, doesn't make the financial reports lousy in themselves. The work that goes behind it, it just has to be. The report has to be credible.
Yeah,
And it has to
I mean,
stand up
you
under
cannot
scrutiny.
say a month later, oh, I overlooked that part, or I made a mistake here. You cannot do
Correct.
that. So, is it double checked by your upper management?
Oh yeah, when
Everything
you
is
report to,
double-checked?
oh yeah, you have it. You'll internally you will have double checked it. The auditors will have checked it, and the lawyers will have reviewed it.
Okay, good. And then it goes back.
And then it goes to the SEC.
Got it, got it. Oh my God, this is very stressful.
Yes, it is.
It's a big responsibility. It's like the engineers, they cannot make mistake, you know,
That's true.
because the story about the bridge that fell in Canada, and now all engineers are required to be very responsible in what they do. You remember that story? And now when you become an engineer in Canada, you have to wear the ring with the bridge to remind them of their
Oh, really? I did not
responsibility.
know that.
Yeah, it reminds the engineer that a mistake could cost the lives of thousands and
Thousands of people, yeah.
Yeah, so you can't make a mistake. You gotta. So I know it's less life-threatening in your profession, but it's still a responsibility to the stakeholder.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to go back to your background, you said that you were raised in a French-American family. Did you have someone in your family that was more toward math, and that's how you got inspired, or it was just you?
No. My father was a lawyer.
Ah, so
My mother was just a housewife.
Yeah, in those days.
And no, I just gravitated to math.
You liked it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was better at math than I was at reading, so to speak.
Okay. So
Yeah,
it
so
was just within what you like to do.
Yeah, it was just a natural gravitation.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So it was not influenced by one parent or the other. Not at
No,
all.
I was the last of 6 kids too. My parents didn't have much time for me.
Oh, no kidding.
Right.
The last of 6. Okay, that's a very busy household.
Very big household, yes.
I mean, very busy. I mean, the kids are around you
Right.
all the time.
Right. Well, the first 5 were all about within a year of each other.
Oh my God.
And then I was like 4 years after the last one. So there's
Okay.
8 years between the oldest and me.
Oh, okay.
So.
And then you were the baby of the family, I assume.
And then I got spoiled, yeah, as a baby.
Even your brothers and sisters say, "Oh, he's a little
Yep,
baby."
yep.
Oh, okay. so that's a good position to be into.
I thought so.
Yeah, because you were desired. I mean, after 4 years, you were wanted.
Right, right.
So, did your brothers and sisters became lawyer or anything in these kind of professions?
My oldest brother went to Georgetown and studied foreign service.
Mm.
His intention was to go into government.
Okay.
My other brother, he started law school but didn't finish it.
Okay.
And my sisters, 2 of my sisters became teachers, and then one just became
A household.
office
housewife.
worker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you are the only one who went into really math and CPA.
Correct. And it wasn't any kind of, it wasn't like a predestined plan from the start. I just kind of
You gravitated.
stumbled into it as I was going through my
And
education.
you found
And then I
out.
learned, oh, this isn't bad.
Yeah.
I was pretty lucky.
Oh, were your parents really proud that you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they say, oh, one who really
Yeah.
like.
Well, my
math."
mother's dream was that one day it was going to be Faerber and Sons on a law firm.
Really? Oh yeah, your brother and you.
My 2 brothers, be the 3, my father and the 3 boys.
Okay, your father did have a law.
Oh yeah, he was a lawyer.
Oh, he was not working for someone, or he had his own firm.
Well, he was during the Kennedy administration, he was a federal prosecutor.
Oh my goodness, interesting. So that's a very important position too.
Yes.
Oh my God. I mean, we hear about all these prosecutors at the city level, the state level, the federal level. This is a hard job because it's not like you're the defender where you feel good that you are doing, try to defend someone. You are the one who has to go after the bad guy, right? Something like that. Huh?
Yes. My father had that. He had a trial with a mobster called Raymond Petriacca.
That was a very well-covered trial.
Oh yeah, but my father was being escorted back and forth to work by the state troopers during the whole trial.
Because it's a dangerous job.
Correct.
Yeah, I work also on the Spear Tower where there's a lot of lawyers, so security is really very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't let anybody through without an ID or anything, because when you're a lawyer, you got to be protected. Right? It's
Well,
not
that and everything you're dealing with is confidential, and you know it's
you
not
don't want
not
somebody
for,
to
you
steal
don't want
the
people
file.
open to wandering eyes and hands.
Yes, it's a little bit more confidential than CPA, isn't it, to be a lawyer?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of similarities and standards of how to treat client documentation
It's also
issues.
confidential.
Correct.
I mean, do you guys have in your building security also then?
Well, in the business, not for the business that I'm working with right now. We're too small. It's a startup environment.
Okay.
When I was at Applied Materials, yeah, you had a key card basically
Okay.
that would allow you
So
in
when
and
you're
out.
a startup, it's okay?
Well, it depends. It depends what you've got and how complex things are.
Okay.
But yeah, for the most part,
What
it's
kind
okay.
of startup is it?
The one I'm working for right now is a biotech startup.
Oh, wow, that's also mathematical and oriental.
Oh, it doesn't. I'm just the accountant. I'm not the scientist. So
No, I mean, you're around scientists.
correct.
You're around scientists and you're the accountant. Okay. And they want to go public?
Actually, they are public.
They are public.
Yes.
Okay. So it's a startup at the third level then.
Yes, it's a struggling company, financially struggling right now.
Okay. Okay.
Hopefully, we'll have it turned around in the next few
Okay.
months here.
Okay. Or sometime they get bought out. You know how it is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's the way of Silicon Valley.
but startup usually they develop the product, then they move to the pre-IPO, then to the IPO, and then you already passed those stages. I mean, they already developed.
But by the time they're approaching that IPO, they're either going to go public or somebody's going to buy them out.
Oh, okay. Okay. They still can get bought out after they're public, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And in
More unusual because typically the valuation will have peaked
Okay.
and people won't want to pay at the high. They'll
I
want to
see.
pay a little lower.
I see.
So, and some companies will go in and start
Okay, that makes sense.
then acquire pieces along the way
Mm-hmm.
and accumulate it over time.
I see. And then at that point, if they bought out, then you can stay within the new company, correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
A lot of times it'll be they've gone to get
They
something
reorganize?
specific.
Oh.
Yeah, they may already have. Well, let's use the finance group as an example.
Okay.
So there's a big company, already has a finance organization,
Okay.
already has things structured
And they
the way
wanna
they
buy
do it,
you.
and then they buy you.
Mhm.
Well, then they don't need a second finance organization.
I see.
So that usually just gets everybody gets laid off,
Or they get
reassigned to somewhere else or
jobs.
whatever, or they stay around. They may operate it as effectively just as it always had operated. It's just a different owner.
I see. Okay.
So
And then if they tell you like 3 months in advance, we're gonna get bought out, then at that point you make plans.
oh yeah, yes, yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to be on the street right away.
You don't want to be, yes, that's right.
So they do give you a warning. I mean,
Well, they don't necessarily formally give it to you, but if
You
know,
can sense it?
Correct.
Okay, got it. Because you see negotiation and you see.
Well, and you're reading things in the paper, or you heard something,
Yeah.
or
And you say, oh my God, something's happening.
Yeah.
Unless you're better than the guy that they have at the big end company.
Correct. That's
and
correct.
then they say, oh, this guy seems.
Companies have been acquired specifically to acquire their staff.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So if you're a more valuable person, then they say, oh, we better keep that guy.
Well, during the .com era, back in the early
Yeah,
2000s and stuff,
yeah.
companies were being valued
Based on the staff.
based on the number of engineers they had.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And
That makes sense.
that was-
That's
it's different
That's the value of the company
because
they-
everybody is
top of the
after.
line, yeah.
Yeah, but everyone was looking for engineers,
Okay.
and
So
they
say,
were
"We'll
scarce.
We'll keep them.
Right,
Yeah, we're not going to let you go.
right.
Yeah, that's a very interesting.
Every transaction has its own unique
okay.
circumstances.
They look at each person and each.
Well, and look at the technologies, and they look at the markets, and they look at everything.
Wow.
That's where the CFA comes in very handy.
Okay, so now that you are with the startup, you have the top position of CFO.
Yes, for now.
For now, you are the big guy, and then you have little accountants around you.
Not too many. One.
Just, one to
very
help
small.
you.
Right.
Okay, so but you still the buck. How did you say the buck stop here? I mean,
Yeah, the buck stuff. Yeah.
I mean, you are the responsible for the final papers produced at the end of the day.
The SEC reporting, yes.
Yeah, you're the one responsible, 100%. Okay, so you feel the pressure on that?
Yes.
Oh, because it's all of a sudden you.
Well, there's also deadlines that you have to meet.
Okay, can't take a vacation.
No,
Costa
see,
Rica.
like, because we're such a small company, we have to file it within 45 days of the end of a quarter.
Wow.
A bigger company has to file that, I think, within 30 days of the end of a quarter.
Okay, what did you say? Small company, well, how many days? Before?
45.
45. Oh, so you have to do it sooner.
No, the bigger companies have to do it sooner.
30 days before.
But for a smaller company, they have to do it within 30 days.
Oh,
And the smaller companies have to do it within 45 days
of what date?
of the end of your quarter, whatever.
Okay, so they give you 15 days more?
15 days more, yeah.
But it's still, you gotta meet the deadline.
Yes.
Okay, got it. So yeah, there's are little rules that I don't know about that you gotta know, or else your company's in trouble.
Right.
Yeah. So it's good that it's funny that you started as a young graduate in a big company, and here you are. You're
With smaller companies.
with a smaller company.
Right.
You didn't aspire to be a VP of a huge company.
No, I liked once I started doing consulting and to startup companies. It was exciting because these people were coming up with these new things,
Oh, okay. So you wanted to see
and it
how
was
they
just
did
very
it.
interesting to just see their motivation and their drive
Really.
to develop this stuff.
And they work like 12 hours a day, kind of.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like becomes their life.
Oh yeah, because it's their product.
Correct.
Interesting.
Correct. So that was always interesting, and interesting to then see how investors would come in and look at the company.
So you're around energy all day.
Correct.
Not people sleepy at their desk.
Correct.
So that's good. I like that because it it communicates to you the energy.
Right.
Because when you're in a company where people look at the clock to be out by 5,
Right.
it's so annoying. I mean, they hate their job. But if you're in an environment where people are passionate about what they do, it's worth going to work.
Right.
I mean, it makes it worth it to even get up in the morning. I hate going to places where people, oh my God, 4 o'clock, another hour. That's not the kind of environment that I want to be in.
Right.
I want people who are passionate, people who are driven.
Enthusiastic about what they're doing.
Yeah. Although in what you do, you don't have to really do the long hours. I mean, because your job is not to develop the product, correct?
Correct, but a lot of times if you're involved in getting financing or doing transactions, so to speak.
Then you have to contact people.
There's negotiations that are going on, and there are documents that are being drawn up, and you have to review all these documents and stay on top of what the different changes are in terms and so forth.
Okay,
So there's a there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background.
Oh, okay. Who seeks the financing? The CEO of the company?
The CEO, the CFO,
They say.
the board.
Okay. They say we need more money.
Right.
Okay. But you don't pick up the phone and ask for financing. That's not your job.
No, yeah, sometimes.
You do
Right.
because you have experience.
Right.
You know a few people. Okay, but yeah, because you have dealt with so many so many publicly traded company in your previous jobs that you get an idea on how they raise.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So have you thought of becoming a solo consultant?
Oh, I have been a solo consultant for.
You have?
Oh, yeah. I started in consulting in June of 1999.
Oh, you were already a consultant. Okay.
Right. That was the first consulting job I had,
Okay.
and
then
and I just have pretty much stayed with it.
okay. So just that now you decided to go with a startup then.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone on. I've gone permanent on being permanent staff with companies a couple of times along the way,
Okay.
depending upon how things are going and what's going on.
Yeah, but going solo is hard because you have to push yourself a little bit.
Oh yes,
Uh,
yes,
I mean, you don't have a boss saying do this or do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you.
right,
You're the boss and the employee.
right. You're the one that's totally accountable for everything.
Yeah. So was that a good experience or was it
Yeah, it
hard?
hasn't been bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So you already had a client lined up then.
pretty much. Yes.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have a client lined up, you can sleep at night good. But if you go solo and you
But those clients in the startup world aren't necessarily aren't the most stable of clients.
That's right. That's right. They can go, and then you got to look for another startup.
Well, and yeah, or they develop to a point where they're at proof of concept and they can't do it. They can't show the proof of concept, and people will stop funding it.
Ah, got it. Got it. But is it? Do you work with startup now because you like the young dynamism that is around you?
I like that. Yeah, I like the energy.
You like the energy. Me
yeah.
too. I like the way they're driven. Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, you just kind of challenge everything. You don't basically assume anything.
Yeah, I think they are admirable. I mean, they're full of energy. They don't care about if they work late, and they eat pizza. They don't care about the little details, right?
Well, you've got firms like Twitter and Facebook and Google, and they keep the environment at work so that everything is there, so you have no
Reason to leave?
motivation to leave, to go home. I mean, you can get fed, you can get your laundry done, you can see a dentist,
And you can get to shower.
yeah, you've got a gym, you can bring your dog to work.
And you work.
Yeah. Just
Well,
keep.
that's what I saw on LinkedIn today. They do everything in the headquarters.
Who's this?
LinkedIn. They even have the entertainment on the headquarters.
Oh,
Like they bring
musicians.
musicians, and I mean, this is like A to Z kind of. You don't even need to rent a place. I mean, you can live at the headquarters.
Right. Yeah.
It's incredible, the new concepts.
Yeah.
Unless you have a family, of course, then you have to go home for the kids.
Yes. Correct.
So that's a different ball game. And if someone has a family, they can spot it right away because
Right.
he's leaving while all the young people are staying.
Right. Right.
But I remember when Google started, they didn't hire anybody over 40. And now that these
Oh, that's it. Well, their senior management was all over 40.
right? But all the young people they hired are not over 40 themselves.
Correct.
So
My son actually works for Google.
they do. Oh, I am at One Market. I am in the same building. I mean, at the Spears Tower. There's Google there.
Oh, yes. No, he's on the Mountain View campus.
Oh, he's on the other campus. Okay. Because I see them at Spear Tower. They are,
Still there.
Yeah, they're a young crowd.
Right.
I would say. So your son works for Google. That's interesting.
Correct. Yeah.
What does he do? Develop software?
No, he basically has the same background as me.
No kidding.
Yes, he went to school and got his degree in accounting, and then he went and took the CPA exam.
Yeah.
He even went to work for the same firm I went to work for. But then he's right now he's
Accountant.
CFO of Google Ventures.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it is.
He's got a better position than you.
What's that?
He's got a better position than you.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You switch
That's
tables.
the way it's supposed to be, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. You guys switch tables. You should have been the
Right.
that position, and he should have been where you are now.
But
No, but that's good because it makes you proud to be the father of that
Oh, absolutely.
young man.
oh, absolutely. Well, it's gone into a transition from where it's not so much just being father and son, but we're professional peers.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a different perspective.
Okay.
It's a very comforting perspective as well.
No, I mean, you went through a long career, and here's your son landing a huge position.
Mhm.
And that's something to be proud of. But also you wonder, why didn't I get that position myself?
Oh,
Something,
that hasn't hit. That really hasn't hit me.
no, because you're very happy where you are.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. He was in the right place at the right time, and he did
Okay.
the right things.
Okay, so
And so,
that's awesome.
yeah,
You
exactly.
went to Stanford, maybe?
No, he went to Cal Poly, down in San Luis Obispo.
Because they hire a lot of people from Stanford.
Oh, they hired a lot of people from a lot of places.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, it's such a pleasure to talk to you because you flow very well. I mean,
Oh,
you
well,
don't
thank you.
you don't put any barriers to maybe the stupid question that I ask, and you do go with the flow, and I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Because I don't know everything about what you do,
Sure.
and you decided, well, she doesn't know, then I'm going to answer nicely to her because it was very.
We'll try to
informative.
add some more context around it. And,
Yeah. So for me, it was very informative because it's totally different from what I do every day.
I'm glad.
And I'm sure the people who are looking into doing what you do, a CPA job, will say, hey, maybe I should try it, because you like what you do. Maybe they say, oh, that must be.
Well, and it's not just that though. It can also open up things for you because the reality is you're as much a business advisor as anything else,
You're an advisor.
and you're learning all about the business in total, and so but then you can also you don't necessarily it doesn't brand you necessarily as being just a finance person. You can move into operations,
I see.
and you could take over manufacturing or you.
Depends where you.
Yeah.
What's your background? Yeah.
Is and
I mean, what you were surrounded by when you were growing up, too, kind of thing.
right, but they're
But how do people, because you mentioned a huge firm like KPMG, how do people decide that they want to form a huge company of CPAs? Is that because they are driven, they're ambitious?
oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, ambition and growth in the accounting profession. It's becoming more, especially if you're in the public, if you've got a number of publicly traded companies as your clients. The challenges, the technicalities of things have become so complex.
You have to hire people.
Well, and you're competing, and then you get to a point where some firms just start becoming too expensive for a company,
Yeah.
and then they go look for another firm,
Yeah.
and then eventually that firm's going to grow up and become just as expensive as the one that they got rid of.
Oh.
You're
then
forever
the firm is
fighting
growing
that
and growing.
battle. Yeah, but to survive in the profession as well is you pretty much, depending upon your client base, you need to grow, and you typically grow through merger and acquisition.
Okay. You acquire.
Acquiring
CPAs,
other firms or
other CPA firms.
correct. You create an alliance, so you
But
may.
that's very complicated. I mean, I can imagine that the complexity of acquiring other CPAs.
It's like any other business.
You gotta create space for them. You gotta. I mean, of course you have money, but if you acquire big amounts of stuff. Oh yeah, they come with their clients. That's
Correct.
true. So that's out of the way then, and I'm sure there's a few.
What you're really adding is you're adding the professional resources. In concept, you're keeping the customer base,
Yeah.
and you're going to continue to grow it. But say you've got one firm over here that's more knowledgeable about railroads or something, and you got another firm over here who's more knowledgeable about airlines.
Okay.
But they come together, and then they can expand. Now they can offer up airlines and offer up railroads, and on a grander scale.
Then they can put the other industries on their line.
Correct.
On their
So
list
these
of
are the
industries,
services we offer, or these are the areas of our expertise.
because we can provide it.
Correct.
Got it.
So that's a lot of what
Yeah,
what
but
goes
the
on.
CEO doesn't need to know about all these things. He just
Oh no, I thought we were talking about
No, I
accounting
mean-
firms.
accounting firms. There's a CEO, but the CEO gather all these people, but he doesn't personally need to be specialized in any of them.
Oh no, he doesn't. No.
Right.
Just needs
he
strong
just-
people skills, a strong vision,
Yeah.
and a strong motivator.
And hire
Hire
people
smart.
to grow and grow and grow to make it accessible to all industries.
A broader base of clients.
A broader base. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was very interesting interview. I appreciate you being nice enough to accept the interview,
You're welcome.
even though you don't know me. But you know, it was very interesting, and it will go on all about your profession. Even though I put French American TV because you are half French, so I decided I should put that.
I'm an embarrassing French person.
Yeah,
I can't speak French.
Maybe just biologically. Biologically, you have French, right?
Right.
You would say that. So anyway, thank you, and let's hope you enjoy the interview when you watch it. Thank you.
All right.
very much.
Excellent. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Glad you enjoyed it.